All right, got my volume up, got y'all's volume up, and there we go. Greetings and salutations, travelers, and welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads. And, as always, welcome back to our Around the Hearth series, where we are discussing today a non-combat encounter that we talked about last time. Connor is bringing one, and what did you call it?
Oh, we're just jumping straight in. All right. Last time I talked about an encounter I made that was started, but we never actually got to it because nobody was dumb enough to try it. I remember Kane actually loved the idea of the Madmans game.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, Madmans game, which is an item that was created using actual spells in Pathfinder, just for funsies. with like a little bit of godly divine intervention, but whatever.
To be fair for everyone who might be listening to this, when we talk about Pathfinder, there is almost certainly a 1-to-1 in Dungeons & Dragons somewhere. If not necessarily in 5th edition, then definitely in 3.5.
I don't know about this one. I didn't find it, but I also don't remember the name of the spell, so whatever. But it was one of the weird ones. But basically, Madman's game was an item they found in that dungeon we keep talking about, created by the Mad God in this world. Or the Whacked World, whatever the fuck. He's a god now, by the way, King.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, fight me. He had this necklace. It was just like a red strap, and it had instructions in the box. Well, sort of. You had to identify it, and then the instructions would appear in front of you like written letters because he's a psycho. Once you identified it, it was said that putting on the necklace would start the Madman's game. It would immediately decapitate the person who put it on, not kill them, because there's a spell in Pathfinder that allows you to decapitate someone without killing them. But the head has to be returned to the body within 24 hours or the spell fades and the head is just no longer attached to the body.
Oh, bummer.
Then you die.
Then you die, as one does without a head.
Well,
now,
I thought you were going to say it was something like Frank Herbert Reanimator or something like that.
Move your dead bones, bones. Move your...
So for Madman's game, what happens is first the necklace casts that spell on you and decapitates you. It then teleports your head, ran away. I think it was like a 50k radius.
Yeah, something like that. You were teleported somewhere within like 100 miles.
It was like somewhere you could. The whole thing was that it was fair. It was going to teleport it somewhere that you could feasibly get it within 24 hours.
Yeah, so maybe not 100 miles.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a little tough, but. Is somewhere you could get. The person whose head was removed knows where the head is. At least they can feel physically which direction it's in. Mm-hmm. But, a little hard to communicate that to the rest of your party.
Mm-hmm. I think it would have been good if like the head obviously is fully functional, so you can see and hear and smell and everything. Exactly. The problem is your body can't talk.
Yeah.
Right?
Unless you know sign language.
It can't see and it can't. Yeah. So it barely knows what it's doing.
So really, the way to circumvent this puzzle would have been if one of us had known Drow sign language, we could have just...
Or you could technically use Thieves' Cant. So.
That's true.
But anyway, it would put your head somewhere. You had to retrieve it. It would never just put it in a spot. Like, it wouldn't just put it under a tree. It would put it like in someone's house, or like
what if
government in a safe in a bank or something.
Well, what if they put it in there and then somebody goes in and finds it like ah, and the other person, and then the severed head's like ah, and then
the fact that it was made by the Mad God made it so that people just didn't react to it, or that it like warped reality around it a little bit to make people like want to defend it even in some cases.
That's interesting.
Plus, it was a high magic setting, so if like let's say it's in a bank vault, It could just be in some wizard's vault, and someone opens the door, and there's a head, and he's like, "That's normal."
Kill me!
Like, someone's riding around in Gringotts, and they're just like, they go into one vault, and it's like, oh, the goblin's here to check up on me again. No.
But yeah, no. And so the whole point was you had to get the head within 24 hours. And if you did, the necklace would bestow grand prizes upon you. Because otherwise, who the fuck would put this thing on except for Sal, who's a crazy person a little bit?
Well, no, I wouldn't have put it on because it wouldn't have given me a vast, unknowable knowledge that could theoretically melt my brain. That was the only thing Sal cared about.
Those were the things that he slapped right on his face without thinking.
I thought about it. I thought about it a lot. You gave me a mask that let me talk to a god that knows everything. I thought about it long and hard. I thought, hey, if I put on this mask, could I know everything? Theoretically, yes.
Theoretically, if your brain can handle it.
I only ripped all the flesh off my forehead once. Okay, it was.
Oh yeah. By the way, the mask tries to tie to you the more questions you ask.
Anyways.
Anyway.
So the Madman's Game, or is it the Madman's Game or the Madman's Gambit, or what is it? It's called
Madman's Game.
Madman's Game.
Yep.
So
it was hella fun. It was going to be hella fun, but then we stopped playing.
Fair enough.
You know how games go, where you just stop playing.
Well, the thing is, Kane, we ended on like a kidnapping plot, right? That would have led back to the Imperial City.
Yeah, we did.
I was actually planning it that if you guys tried to use Madman's Game while looking for her, the head was going to go somewhere nearby. And just like maybe just like in the room she was held in.
Yeah.
And just be like, oh,
hi.
Well, I mean, we were looking for you anyways, but now it's really important that we find
So
you.
where are we?
Where the fuck are we?
I like the idea of letting the head be fully functional while you're trying to find it. And it's interesting because I can write with my eyes closed, not very well, but I can. So if the player was wanting to say, like the player says, I want to write something out, and then you're like, okay, but you got to do it with your eyes closed. You can kind of let them do that, I guess, and you could work it out. But they have to have their eyes closed whenever they're interacting with the regular party, and so they have
eyes closed, ears plugged.
Yeah, you say that. Yeah, ears plugged, but you say that because you and I both have very neat penmanship. What happens when you've slapped this collar on your player who writes in like a pharmacist's chicken scratch?
Yep.
And now they've got to write out the city name with their eyes closed and some like big old headphones on.
Yep.
The name of the city is Caledonia, and it comes out as Cantaloupe.
That's where you have your high-end characters try to figure out what he's talking about. I mean, come on now. That's what your party members are for. It's the Fruit City. Oh, it's a clue. Oh man, that would be just like the players to be like, oh, it's a city that has a lot of cantaloupes. Where is that? Whoa, that's way across that's like Florida. How are we going to get to Florida or California?
I actually
end up going in the opposite direction, and in the ninth hour, in the final moments, they just have to lock on to you somehow and teleport there from wherever they are. Like that's the climax.
I mean, one of the things with teleporting is if you have an item from that location, it's easy. You have the other half of the body.
Yeah, but that would bring up the question: does that body qualify as having been in that part of in that area? I almost
guarantee the Mad God would not allow that.
Yeah, because it
would teleport you somewhere nearby, but like in maybe in front of the guards.
If you could, what if you could cast greater teleportation with the silent meta magic and then roll like the caster level check or the arcane spell failure to do all the semantic components without being able to see your own hands?
Yeah, that's like So you'd have to give, if the combat did come about and the player wanted to try and help and not just stand there and try not to die, because how would they know? Like, how would they know who's pushing them around? So they would have to have blinded, deafened. What else? You would definitely have to have blinded and deafened on their character as debuff.
Oh yeah, the body would be blind, deaf, flat-footed.
Silence.
Silenced. I don't know what the condition in 5th edition would be like. Flat-footed. You would
disadvantage times 10.
Yeah, you would just roll disadvantage on everything,
and everyone gets advantage versus you.
Yeah, that makes it interesting too. That would bring up a question for magic in your setting. If the head speaks a magic spell, and the body successfully, and it has no somatic components, right? No material or somatic components, but it mutters a spell. Does that spell then work? Because
that's a good question.
Because that would imply that magic is like the weave in that the magic of that setting would be like the weave in D&D.
I think I would allow it, but it would with like a lag time.
Yeah,
like you have bad ping. And you're really far away.
Yeah, your ping is really wild. You yell fireball, and it's like that
Well, no,
scene from the third Iron Man movie where he's like got his hand up for the gauntlet, and it just takes him longer than he thinks it's gonna to show up.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say like you try to cast I don't know, locate object or you try to cast fireball because you get in combat.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, you do everything. Does the spell work? And then like 5 minutes later, you're just like walking and suddenly off in the distance.
Oh, there they are.
I do like the idea. I really love the idea of like world's most dangerous head. Like you've got like whatever all the basically a living demi-lich. All of the real dangerous spells that don't have somatic components, or if you're casting them with still spell, or this only works in Pathfinder First Edition, but I believe there's an Oracle curse that gives you still spell for free. Then doesn't increase the caster level of the spells you do it with. Because I know the mute curse gives you silent spell for free and doesn't increase the caster level.
But you said world's most dangerous head.
Yes.
And it just made me think of the other non-combat encounter that I loved.
Oh, no, you gotta save it. We're focusing on one at a time. Write it down.
No, wait. Is this the demi-lich, or is this a social encounter gone wrong?
This was the demi-lich. Okay,
because I can think of the most dangerous head as a couple different things that could happen that aren't strictly PG.
Melina.
So
it was a knoll, to clarify that joke. You're a head. You could theoretically cast spells. I really love the idea of you just being a head shooting magic missiles out of your eyeballs or something.
I think that the Madmans game actually, if you didn't win, I guess you could still be part of the party if they did eventually find you.
Yeah, I don't know if I made it so, like, because the Mad God isn't, like, murderous in my campaign. He probably wouldn't just let you die. Well, he might, I don't know. But it would be funny if it just didn't let you reattach your head without Greater Restoration.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, worst case scenario for 5th edition, I think it'd be Greater Restoration. For other editions, it would be Regeneration, because you need that to reattach lost limbs.
Yeah.
It's just your head, your body would be two like fully separate entities. You'd be able to do a bunch of those like bits from movies where the skeleton's head falls off. He's like, "Over here, dum dum," and his body.
Yeah, you could very much do
a Dullahan at that point.
You could very much
basically a Dullahan.
You could very much end up doing something like Reanimator that H.P. Lovecraft wrote. So
I would also be very into the idea of screwing that up and then having to mechanically and aesthetically transition your character into being like a headless horseman styled thing. I dig the aesthetic of that. I'm
and
big
you can't.
on,
You end
big
up
on the aesthetic.
you end up having to take levels in cleric or shaman or something like that because you have to keep casting repose on your body.
Yeah. Wasn't there like a story in folklore of a woman who never took a scarf off or something?
Yes, that's from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, I believe.
Oh, okay, cool. And then she took it off and the head but
Yep. Yeah. Right off.
Okay. So I think a really interesting thing, if someone would ever want to use this specific aspect in their game, is that there's a lot of player choice involved.
Mhm.
Like, unlike certain things where players are very thrust into it, this is very much so an opt-in game.
Mhm.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so I suppose the first player choice is that you decide
this-
to engage with it. But if you're going to use it, I would assume the assumption from go is that one of you has put the necklace on, and now your head is somewhere.
Yeah, no, the reason that I gave it to them as part of the loot from that dungeon is because that party had at least 3 idiots that would try it.
Yeah, definitely William, Stephanie, or Sabrina might have put that on.
Oh,
I mean,
it's
hell, I figure Sal would have the fucking, like, nuts to be like, I'm smart, I'll find it.
If anything, Sal would have had the arrogance to be like, I bet I can put this on someone else and find their head.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Although I am now thinking of Sal's, just his head with the mask. And just being sat on a pedestal and just being like, who comes to question the all-knowing head?
Yeah, you guys don't find me in time, and I just leave the party and start a head or like
Cult. Like some
cult.
kind of-
Cult of the Mad Head.
Yeah.
That's fair. But it brings up the question then. So you mentioned that there was good stuff at the end if you win.
Yes, in keeping with proper game show mechanics, it was thematically appropriate prizes. So depending on who did it, there would be something probably specialized for them. Depending on where the head went, there would probably be something specialized for that. Like if it went to a military camp, like maybe a cool weapon or just a uniform that you would then immediately be arrested for having.
Yeah, I know. A Purple Heart, definitely didn't earn it.
That's the fun part of having a god that just likes to fuck with people is he just does things.
And as your reward, I give you 10,000 gold pieces and stolen valor. Here you go. Get out of here.
Well,
I
it would
give
make
you
it
10,000 gold pieces. Awesome. How'd you make this much gold? I didn't. You just hear like an alarm going off at the bank in the back. We gotta go.
That sounds very much like those rigged wishes and stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
It would be interesting if for having to go through all that trouble, you get another scenario presented to you, kind of like in America we've got Let's Make a Deal. It probably is still it probably broadcasts all over. So
we get most American television.
Okay, I didn't know how thorough the game show carryover was between the two countries.
Alarmingly thorough.
Okay,
we have a little more in common with English game shows than American for us.
We
do get the American ones.
Okay,
QI and Taskmaster and stuff. But yeah, I've definitely seen reruns of that Wayne Brady show with
it's not all that good.
And the dynamite.
So you've got Let's Make a Deal where if you win, you have a reward presented to you, but then the mad god comes and he's like, "Okay, you beat that one. I'll make you a deal.
Yeah, no,
you can keep that reward. You can keep this real reward, like it's a real tangible reward. You actually get something." Or
double or nothing, fuckers.
that's kind of the idea. Or you can give this up for what is ever behind this other game.
Or will you take the mystery box?
That's
Never
it.
take the mystery box.
And it'll play so heavily on people's FOMO. Like, what's behind the box? What's in the box? And
See, the thing is, knowing Kane's character, there's a 0% chance he would take that box. However,
I hate the mystery box.
But the thing is, it could be twice as good, or it can be in the.
It's never good. The mystery
in the multiple
box
choices,
is always a scam.
In the multiple choices, you have multiple different games that the Mad God presents you with, and in that he says there's this game, and this game. You compete in each one. You can compete in any one you want, and the reward will be different for each. And you can pick. And he kind of has them set up where one looks like it's in a big box, or one looks like it's in a different portal or something like that. You can have it look thematically different from each other.
All three. I choose to participate in all three.
Okay, two things. On that point, sorry, but real quick, now I'm thinking he does all three, wins all three, and gets to go to the Multiverse Madman Games finals.
Ooh,
or
that's a campaign right there.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but one of them is a zonk, which is just it's junk. So you just threw away all these other rewards, and competed and got nothing. Which is the only thing I don't like about the game. So I wouldn't necessarily do that to my players. But I'm saying it's an option.
The mystery box is always a scam. Statistically, you always lose money on the mystery box.
Knowing the Mad God in that setting and how much he liked to fuck with Sal, there was a decent chance that Sal would immediately be like, "No, we're not taking the mystery box," and just grab whatever item, and then the Mad God would be like, "Very well, but what was in the box?" And he opens it, and it's like the next piece of that mask.
Oh, it wouldn't be the next piece of the mask. It would have been the whatever key we needed for the sarcophagus.
Right.
This was another thing. If you have if you're ever running a game with a character, here's a puzzle that's really abstract because you solve it over the course of months. We found what was it? Was it like blue or bronze or copper?
Yes, that's what it was. It was three. It was three stacked within it. It was basically Iron Maiden.
Matryoshka. Yeah, Matryoshka Iron Maiden. We found, this sarcophagus Matryoshka Iron Maiden thing that could be unlocked with a key, and we found it in an inn, and we asked, like, hey, what's up with this key? And they're like, I don't know, it was here when we got it. And we found the key to the outermost shell and opened it because that was sort of the gambit of the inn, was that nobody could pick the lock on the front of this Iron Maiden. We got it open, and there was another one inside of it. And we're like, well, we got this open, so, like, we want it. And they were like, game, done, get it out of here.
That's some scary wizard shit. I don't want that here anymore.
I don't want that in here. We just want the spooky outer one now that it's empty. We know it's not cursed. So we.
But why would that innkeeper need an Iron Maiden?
Well, it was in the inn when they got the inn. Was what they told us.
That's what they told us.
I'm like, why would they keep the outer shell then? The outer Iron Maiden. They got some creepy stuff going on.
Yeah, it's their tourist attraction. Also, you need to, when the drunks get too rowdy, you got to set an example.
It didn't have spikes in it, so they could just slam them in there and be like, ah.
It's like, what's that comic with the Iron Maiden that's just full of hands?
Oh, that's a gross one.
It just touches you, and you're like, I hate that.
I don't like it.
Let me out. We took this Matryoshka nesting doll Iron Maiden with us, like, all over the country, trying to figure out where the keys were for the other layers of it. And based on the character I was playing at the time, it naturally drove me up the wall because I had to know what was in it. But it was sort of a long play puzzle item thing that we had been holding on to, that we were always sort of on the lookout for, like, weird keys, and is the key the right color? Is it in the same style as the last one we found? Like, and
sounds like somebody.
Now that we're not doing that game, You remember that one roll you whiffed while in Trodnov's archives for like your search?
Oh, I was going through his files.
Yeah, he had the key in one of the cases.
Motherfucker.
So, there you go. There's a bonus one for everybody.
Feel my anger.
We haven't played in like a year or two, and I'm
Never
still
again.
getting mileage.
Sal is dead to me. I've killed him in my mind.
Hey,
Ego death.
every character is some kind of manifestation of something you like or don't like inside yourself.
I have reabsorbed him into my psyche. I'm gonna use him, or I'm gonna use parts of his personality for a dad bard. I have percolating.
Fair enough. So back on topic to the actual one for this time. If you wanted to play around with it, you could also do different colors of ribbon, meaning different games that would be played, or different ways that the what this ribbon was meant to be like scarlet or something.
Yeah, it was. There was actually different ribbons. It was like the scarlet one was Madman's game number 3, I think, which is the headless one. I'm trying to remember what the others are. Shit.
Well, see,
it went from like blue to green to yellow to red to like all the way to black.
Yeah, and I mean, like I suppose like the simplest version of that would have been like the 6 attributes. So you could have been like a test of strength, a test of manual dexterity, a test of toughness.
That's a good point.
But yeah.
Well, test of Constitution. You know Moriarty. You know it's just gonna be a fucking troll comes charging up and hoofs you in the nuts.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
You gotta not puke.
We're playing Rochambeau with a hill giant. No puking.
Well, I was thinking if you had one color that your head went and teleported somewhere, the other color was your body left. And then you had to figure out from your head was with everybody. And it's just like, pick me up, pick me up,
pick me up.
Everybody's like, no, oh, no.
Gross, you're just a head. Gross, bro. No.
You already added the detail of like the head still being active.
Yep.
So now I'm imagining the body being active. Like
it still is,
goes, and it doesn't know what's going on. It's just flailing and like panicking.
Yeah, it doesn't know where it is. It doesn't know what's going on. You can only your only like clues are what you can feel.
Yep.
So you just start groping, and it's like, oh god, I might be in a brothel.
Yeah, this reminds me of
so I feel something soft, and it's round, and I don't know.
What is that? Wait, is that a nipple? I know that one. I'm either in a very good place or I'm about to be hurt very badly.
So
I got distracted by that. What was I going to say?
No. I was talking about. We talked about having to use sight and sound and all of the facial senses for trying to find yourself, but it would arguably be more difficult to try and use
harder.
your non-physical things. And it would be interesting too, because if you're playing around a table, then the GM doesn't have to do any communication verbally with the head. The head can be kept with the party. And then if the character starts to feel something, then the GM will have the player come over, and in a box that the player can't see in, he's got different things set, and they put their hand in and they feel what the character's feeling.
You're gonna whip out like the old birthday or the Halloween party trick where you reach your hand and you're like, it's spiders or brains. No, it's a bowl of spaghetti, you idiot.
Wasn't that a game on Uh-Oh?
Yes.
Canadian kids game show.
Yeah, I was gonna say like to whip out a deep cut on a children's Canadian children's game show.
Everyone knows Wink Yahoo.
Everyone knows Wink Yahoo and his famously obscure collection of socks and ties.
And don't forget his gimp he keeps in the closet.
this trained muscle gimp that punishes the children.
It was called The Punisher.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's getting rid of. Ooh, that's a weird show. Then.
Yeah, imagine.
It was a real show, man.
Imagine a brightly neon yellow and green themed game show set.
The one dude.
Yeah, and like the game show host is like dressed in like these just like Don Cherry ass, just like offensive to look directly at looking suits, like they were pulled off the upholstery of a sofa designed in a nightmare factory. And amongst all of that, amongst all the like the bright colors and frippery, there is one muscular fucking like
pro wrestler wannabe looking sumbitch.
Yeah, with a black spray painted hockey mask, like duct taped to his head, just standing in the corner, staring blinking into the audience.
And he's only there to punish the children who lose.
Oh, there you go.
Which, to be fair, punishing the children roughly equated into taking a paint bucket full of slime and dumping it on them. That was it. That was
it would have been way more epic. It would have been way more epic if he
presented it. You always thought the Punisher was going to kill these kids.
Yeah, no, you picture that old commercial with Sting just like slamming a child's head into a banister.
Yeah.
Okay, back on topic.
Back on topic. You can break out that particular party game, I guess.
Yeah, no, I actually love the idea of multiple Madman games where because the whole point of the Madman's game is it gets you to do something morally very dubious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's never something outright evil or good, even. It's just like, you're kind of an asshole. Like, the kind of thing, it was to force players into action in a way. Because a lot of times, what players have issues with, especially with D&D nerds, because they tend to be a bunch of socially anxious dipshits, with all the love in my heart, I can say that. I love the idea of like you said, all the different tests of skill or something. And I'm imagining a charisma-based one where you have to you need to get other people to help you find the thing. And I don't know, I'm just imagining somebody accidentally whipping a small populace up into a riot. Just because, like I said, the whole point of these games is they bend reality around them. So it's a test of skill with charisma, but it makes you extremely, too charismatic. And so you impart the need to find this thing, because it might not be the head every time.
Yeah, you go to your neighbor and you ask to borrow a cup of sugar, and suddenly 50 people are wailing down the front door of your house to just bury you in sugar.
That is within the wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But no, Madman's game is fun. It's just something that lets you... It's basically a distraction that lets you bestow items upon your players if they need them, but also just injects a bit of anarchy into the game.
And it's an excuse to dump your, all the childhood game shows you watched when you were sick home from school.
Fair.
It also brings up the interesting potential of an encounter where they are not the ones playing the game, but they are in fact thrust into the middle of someone else's playing.
That's actually a great idea. Can you imagine another adventuring party got one of the games and we're doing it, and it just happened, the head was in your bag of
You guys
just okay, we gotta get some gold for the merchant. Let's just
something bit me. Something bit me.
The guy's just what's up?
Yeah, no, it's like handy haversack rules. It's always at the top of the bag. If you want anything out of the bag, you have to take the head out first.
You gotta take it off the stack.
Yeah.
Hey guys, what's up? No, don't put me back. No. Remember that?
I don't want to go back in the dark.
I mean, Kane, don't you remember that you guys had a Ted the Treasure Hunter?
The shrunken head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Ted the treasure hunter. He could sniff out treasure. It was his punishment because he broke into too many tombs.
So there was one of the players was playing a character who was a necromancer, who was like the good aligned necromancer who was summoning souls back into bodies so that they could serve out their karmic public service duty, community service, their magical community service. And one of them was a shrunken head who was a thief in life and is now. I don't really know what he did. He didn't help in combat. He was just sort of there and made head puns.
And he did help you guys sniff out some treasure that you would have missed otherwise. So
yes, he could smell gold and stuff.
Dope.
Yep.
That stays.
So we're at 35 now. So we have done our quota talking about the Madman's game and other things too. So we can always let y'all enjoy that. Hope you did.
Holy crap! I want to talk about the Lich at some point.
You gotta write it down.
Write it down in your notes so you don't forget next time.
Yeah.
All right. So that's what we've got for this time. Any last points on these? Levi, we'll start with you.
Basically, it goes along with the other things. Not only make sure there's an interesting thing at the end, make sure they know that there's something, especially for this, where there's like a clear, obvious big downside. Make sure to give them a decent suggestion of what tier of rewards they could be getting to incentivize them to do maybe a bad decision, but a fun decision.
Yep.
This is also, it's a very good way to introduce a very slapstick bit of play into what might otherwise be a very serious game. I don't sit at your table. I don't know what you're up to.
Well, that's one of the points of the Madman's game was you can whip that shit out when it's getting a little too serious. I know that's not usually an issue. Usually the opposite is true for most GMs. Yeah. But it's a good way to test your role players a little bit, because like if they're used to being serious about everything, if it's easy to like, how do I put this? The best way to build your characters is to put them in a situation they're uncomfortable in, to see how they react to something they're not used to. Madman's game guarantees you are not fucking prepared for this. Nothing you do will prepare you for your head suddenly being in the fish tank at the nearby seafood restaurant.
And honestly, if you are, I think you need to put the dice down for like just in a couple weeks.
Yeah, so yeah, that's the other thing.
I mean,
you went too fast, and the Mad God's like, what the fuck?
How did you do that?
Man, I'm crazy.
I'm crazy, but you're nuts.
I made a necklace that teleports your head. Yeah, you guys need a break.
What are you, Batman? That's a reference you don't get. Don't worry about it.
Oh, he gets to make fourth wall jokes.
Exactly, yes. 100%.
Fair enough.
He's multidimensional.
All right. Well, that has been our discussion on Madman's game, the Scarlet Ribbon. I guess we'll title that one. That is a non-combat encounter that can happen with your players and spark a whole bunch of adventure, especially if it's, in a place that you wanted them to go anyway. Kind of funnel them that way.
Yeah, this is like a more madcap, fun for fun's sake way. The other way, we might talk about it next time, but we could talk about the masked cane, because that was a good plot driver.
It's fair enough.
I mean, it did turn the encounter with the coffin and chains into a non-combat encounter.
It did.
There you go.
Still crazy.
All right. So, allusions to future discussions made and everything. We hope you have a great day then. God bless and enjoy. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.
Yes. Hello, subjects.
Oh,
Have
man,
fun moving all the banter to the end.
Yeah.
Christ. Sorry we get off topic. It's just fun to reminisce about this. Especially, Kane, you brought up the Coffin and Chains. That was...
Yeah, we've been playing Dungeons and Dragons a very long time.
Y'all are
Yeah, but the
supposed to
Coffin
be
Chains-
making a just like a reminiscence podcast. You know?
Yeah, why don't we do that?
You
Let's
keep
just
saying.
dick about sometimes.
We'll figure the schedule out on that. I'm totally
Go
game.
from the very start, so that
As long
way
as-
people know who the people are when you reference names, and we don't
Mhm.
just like zone out because it's like I'm not going to remember that name.
Who's Sal again? I don't remember
Well,
Ark Arl.
There's
What's
so
Ark
much
Arl?
stuff I have to do before we ever even touch Sal. We gotta
Sal-
talk about Throckbeard, the dwarf, the very first character I ever played.
I was going to say, Sal is a descent into madness for Kane every single time.
Every single time.
Like, it's weird. It, like, takes over his mind.
It really does.